Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to give you guys the update on the Hexblast Ignite Inquisitor that I was or have been playing for the past couple of days, mainly for heisting at the moment. I don't know why, but I really enjoy heisting at the moment, so I'm still having like a bunch of contracts around like blueprints and whatnot. It's actually not really too bad of a currency. But it's just a pure fact that I enjoy heist at the moment, so that's why I'm running a lot of heist. That's why I cannot deliver you with any like Cyrus kills on this build, although I did it. So I did kill all content. I did Katarina on like Mastermind 83. I did Cyrus and Awakener 8. I haven't done any of the... I'm not really too focused on the Atlas right now, so I haven't done any of the feared or the other invitations that you can get, actually. I haven't even procced it, actually. Yikes. So it was just like a lot of heisting, but don't worry, I have all the updates that you need for like my current version that is around about, I would say, maybe like 20-25x. I would say I've spent majority maybe in gems, since I have a bunch of Awakened gems and they are like not too cheap, I would say, how much they are going for. 2-3 Exiles for the Awakened gems. So there is like rooms of improvements, but as I said, there is everything in the description below from Path of Buildings. We're going to talk about that a little bit later for the future upgrades and stuff like that. The build for me itself stayed pretty much the same as from the previous video. The only difference was the one video wasn't like level 80 something. This one is now 93. I leveled purely in Heist, which is kind of funny because Heist is actually a content they hit quite hard, you know? Well-rolled 83 contracts, they do hit quite hard, but even ultimatum stuff like that, absolutely no problem. So I would say for map showcase still, we're gonna run a Moon Temple map that has 40% Delirious. I dropped this in, I think in any ultimatum or something on Awakener 8, so you see how the build feels like at the moment. Still, like, dying-wise, I don't think, like, I've done like twice in like over 100 contracts. It was high level. We are currently on 11 death. Which is not terrible at all, I think, for ultimatums and the Rippy content overall, right? So, don't forget, this build doesn't have any Doom when it comes to the mapping setup, just because I run Temp Chains. Temp Chains doesn't give you Doom. So, we're purely gonna cast Flammability for the 440% more damage when we're actually hitting Coases. I think one of those guys just spawned. Oh, it was actually... Okay, never mind. It was actually Veritania spawning, so this map has now got a little bit more juice now based on the Conqueror proc, so there will be Saurus-influenced monsters. And yo, boys, the Saurus-influenced monsters still hit like a truck. So here is Cosis, or no, the Omniphobia. So this time around, I will obviously cast my Flammability to get the extra damage out of it. But even though I'm on, I think I'm currently on, I think like 2.5 million. Whoa. Holy shit. Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Cyrus. So I think I'm like on a 2.5 million DPS with this version, while still being like fairly tanky, I would say. And I just have to say, overall, this build is really fun. Like, there is builds that are like cool and whatnot, builds that have like cool, like a very good survivability, builds that do like shit tons of damage but rather squishy. Builds that have insane good single target or clearing. This build has everything at a pretty good level, I would say. It's not the best clearing skill, it's not the best single target, it's not the tankiest character, but I think the overall product of this build is quite insane, and I think Alloces did a very awesome job with putting this build together. If you missed that last time, this build does exist from a YouTuber called Alloces. I 100% copied this one. I did give the link in the description below of his YouTube channel, and I will also give you the POVs basically of his build, which is a min-max version. But as you see here, boss damage on Delirious maps, absolutely no problem. You just run around, Flammability, then my ignites last like 4 or 5 seconds. It's fair enough, you know, you have time to dodge things since your ignites are ticking. And I just say, I really enjoy this build. The problem is just like, it's getting ridiculously expensive right now because there is some items that I use that I paid for like, or bought for maybe 50, 60 chaos, maybe an Exalt, and some of the item pieces that I'm currently using are worth now over like 5, 6, 7, 8 Exalts, you know. Might be that my video was a fault of this one, but it is what it is. So I personally would recommend, yes, definitely, I would try, like, you could try this build out. It's very fun, it's very satisfying to play. Let's do the ultimatum here on Delirium. I have no idea how that one will work out. But I would probably say not at the moment. Because prices are going so insanely up at the moment with all these Ignite builds. And I just say, you know, if you play this build for like 20x, it's a very, very good build. But if you would put it together right now, you probably pay like 50 exalts for the same product. And for a 50 exalts build, I would say there is other builds that perform better, you know. Obviously, for me, it's not always about the currency. For me, the main thing is about having fun with the build, really like feeling the build, the tankiness and everything. It's a very enjoyable build to play. But as I said, at the moment, it's just costing you a lot more to put together than I paid for it, pretty much, you know? And that's why it's kind of unfair to say, like, yo, I spent... What is this? Crackling Lance. Are we going further? It's a kind of shitty position here, since I only have this platform to move around, so I'm actually tanking a shit ton of hits. So I guess we're gonna stop after this. Oh, we actually finished it. We actually finished it, so yeah, I like this build. What more can I say than I just freaking like this build, so I definitely can recommend it. Good, other things to mention. So since I cannot really provide you, I'm just gonna empty my tabs here, or at least my stuff. So I cannot really provide you with my own gameplay footage, but the good thing is, that's why I'm not like too worried about. Since Alloces has a min-maxed version of that, so mine would be the starting version, the mediocre version, whatever you want to call it. But he has killed like all content, Saurus Awakener 9, but he is running. I would personally, if I check his gear, there's some harvest crafting, but not too fancy, but I would still say my build is like 20x, his build is like 100x, but you would see the differences of my items that I used compared to his items that he used. So you know exactly what kind of things you would upgrade or try to upgrade on the next part, I would say, which is like super nice. So there's going to be 2 POBs in the description below, so you can check those out and just compare it for yourself if you want to take this build even further. For me, even though I have like 10, 15 exalts, or maybe even more once I start converting all the currency that I made in Heist, so it's probably more like 30 or 40 exalts that I made in the Heist in these couple of days. I wouldn't really feel the need of upgrading this build. Not because I don't want to, it's just like, I don't really feel the need to, just because it already does all content. I have no problems killing Saurus, I have no problems doing my blueprints, my grand heists. As you see, I'm doing here a 40% Delirious map on T14, which is now clear. We had the Veritania proc, Kosis died, or at least the Omniphobia dude died. As you saw, it's no problem. And my version currently has around about 2.5 or 3 million DPS if everything works up here. Let's D&D, clear. That's my version. I'm still missing out on 2 medium cluster jewels with Burning Bright and Blowback, which is an insane DPS increase. So if I just remove one of these, it's like 20% less damage that I'm doing. So I can add up 2 more over here, which is just about base levels. There is a couple of things that you could remove, like the Prodigal Perfection. I think the Blast Radius is not important. But I was just like leveling up, you know, and I was like, yo, I probably need like 8 or 9 skill points. So that the next like 3 or 4 points, I'm not really focused too much. I could take 1 medium cluster jewel instead of 4 points. As I said, I can squeeze out this point here. Then I would probably remove this. And that one, the Blast Radius, I think is not too necessary either. I would spec into those later on as well, and then here on the bot side, I could also remove this fire damage, and that will give me the 4 points or 5 points that I need to make another medium cluster jewel with Burning Bright and Blowback overall. So that would give me over like probably 600,000, 700,000 damage without any big issues. There is not like too fancy stuff going on. There's still no Helm enchant or something like that. As I said, Battle link is in the description below. You're gonna see that I haven't really... I did invest some currency, right? It's like 20-25 exalts, but there is no Watcher's Eye. I would personally go for the damage over time multiplier by Malevolence. That would be this one. They are like 16 exalts, which would be quite good. Then You could also take the damaging ailments, deal damage faster, which is not bad for Ignite builds. They are going for around about 2 Exalts. So there is upgrades, upgrades, upgrades. And if I compare my version now that has like somewhere 2.8 million DPS to his version that is like a level 100 with a double cluster jewel setup with some really nice gear, we talk about 10 million Ignite DPS. So there is so much room for improvement. But I think my build, or at least the one that I put together here with some minor changes, is performing quite well. I really like the playstyle. It's very lazy. It has very good clear. Single target is fair enough. And I know that there is a lot more room for potential upgrades, whether it's a Watcher's Eye jewel, whether it's another double medium cluster jewel, whether it's my jewels here, they are like 3-stat with live fire.multi and increased armor. You can add burning damage, fire damage, all of these kind of sources, and it all adds up. You know, there's here 200,000 DPS by this upgrade, here another 500,000 DPS, here is some upgrades. You could even add a Bottled Faith because enemies on Consecrated Ground take increased damage. That's another big DPS boost, but I'm like super happy that I picked up this build, and it's a lot of fun to play. For the bossing, I would say, showcases, I will give the link again from Alloces, the build creator, in the description below. And you're gonna see he has a lot of videos. Like at the moment he's playing like Low Life, Exsanguinate, something like that. But if you scroll up a little bit, you have here Hexblast, Battle Mage, just the build that I'm playing here. Survivability tests, like the tankiness test against like face tanking Saros. Then you have here against like the Conquerors, you have Elder, Uber Elder, you have Shaper, influenced by Maven, you have like other things like, yeah, all kinds of things. Maven kills. There is a lot of content where you can see how would this build perform at the end game levels of gear, at the end game bosses as well. As I said, my version already does all content. And one thing I do want to note here, because this is a thing that popped up like super hefty. So these rings that I have here with the increased inflict ailments 10% faster, I paid like 50 chaos for them. After I uploaded the video, they went up to like over like 10 exalts. At the moment, they start like 7.5, 8 exalts, 17 exalts, 18 exalts. So, do you need those rings? Boys, you don't. It's just damage increase, okay? There is other things that are like super cool implicits, like onslaught on hit and stuff like that. But, you know, in the end, damage deals 10% faster, increases my DPS. Quite nice, not gonna lie. But it's not like this is a build-enabling item, this is a build-enabling implicits, and without those freaking 17 or 10 exalts ring, this build will not work, you know? And that's exactly what I said before. If you want to play this build and you're not having a lot of currency, I personally, if I would restart this build, I would not buy those rings for 8 exalts. This is just not worth it, you know? It's always about to get the perfect or best items, you know, the cost efficiency. You have a cost and you get DPS out of it, you know. A Bottled Faith, for example, how much DPS would I get and how much does it cost? And if you calculate that, you have an Exalt price per damage gain, right? And I would say, yo, for an Exalter, so definitely super good rings, very easy to craft, obviously, for being blue rings with the helmet. Definitely worth it. But if I think about, yo, it's like 16 Exalts just for the rings alone. I would not invest that unless I have like a lot more currency, and I wouldn't really care too much about 7 exalts investment. But as I said, I paid 50 chaos for mine. This one was like 2 exalts because it was a double implicit, but now they're going for a lot more. I would just take any other ring, guys. You're gonna be fine. Take a Vermilion ring with 7% increased max life, or any other synthesized ring or something like that. You'll be fine, okay? Trust me on that. Good. As I said, path of building link of my build is in the description below, same as the endgame version from Alloces. I'm also going to link his channel if you want to see all the endgame footage. For me, as I said, super happy with the build. It's incredible fun to play. It's super lazy. It has good clear, good everything. So yeah, it's a joy to play this build. But hey, it's still league start, so I want to try out more and more builds. I already have the next idea going, but this time around I'm not going to spoiler it what's it's going to be, because yeah, people are screwing up the market non-stop. It kind of fucking sucks. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.